and welcome to Behind Blackflower. I'm Sarah. I'm the producer of 1968 Blackflower Drive.
Hi, I'm Brett. I'm the writer and director.
These episodes are also video podcasts, so please head over to YouTube if you want to check out the visuals. We are so excited to bring our listeners some information and stories about the making of this radio play.
And so we have with us three of our amazing casts. We have Brittany, we have Darcy, we have Reasha, and we're going to just talk about stuff and figure out what this whole process was about.
Yep.
So that's the thing.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
Now, I have to ask, my first question is, so this is a horror story. It's a horror, it's in the horror genre. We had some people actually say, we're not going to do this because we don't like the genre.
Oh, seriously?
Yes. Okay. So now I have to ask, just first off, are you horror fans?
I love horror.
You love horror?
Yeah.
Okay, great. Horror fan,
She's on the spot. Okay.
Well, you know what's funny? So we had this whole conversation one day when Max was here, and then we were talking about movie genres, and you said, "Do you like the horror genre?" And I went, "No, absolutely not." And you're like, you're in a podcast, so it's a horror genre, and I was like,
hire that girl.
But it's a little different because I don't. I mean, so no, I don't like it, but I like 1968 Blackflower. Yes, so it's different. There are some things that I can't. If it gets too scary, I'll turn off the sound.
Oh, okay.
I'll turn off the sound, and maybe I'll just watch it because it's all Or I just go, no, it's getting a little too weird, and I just turn it off. Whatever.
Okay, so it's if it gets too scary, or if it gets too dark, or
gory, or
gory.
Just,
you're sure?
Yeah, psychological. I'm good. I'm okay. But podcast wise, it's always interesting because it's like you really have to listen. But if it does get a little bit,
well, and also you are in control of how graphic and gory it gets in your brain. Yeah. So I mean that could be a problem for you.
Exactly. Exactly.
Do we need to talk to a therapist? Or
yeah. I may or may not already do that.
That's fair. And then Brittany.
Next question.
Horror.
I'm with Darcy on this one. Yeah. Horror isn't my genre. My genre is whatever is weird, and it doesn't happen to be horror. So
weird.
Yeah.
What kind of weird?
No, I'm just it's like old classic movies, and then period films. Anything with a corset is right up my alley. So yeah.
So that actually kind of leads me into something that I wanted to talk about with you today. Is that Brett and I know that you are really into costuming, specifically period costuming, and you've taken a course on costuming over different eras. We noticed that when you came in on some days that you were playing Jackie, you always had this one particular leather jacket that you wore. Is that something that is that something that you did to help you get into character, and was that because of your love of costuming, or is that something that you do usually?
Firstly, the jacket is killer. It looks really good.
It is really
so
good.
There's that. But then secondly, absolutely, it was a character choice. I definitely find that when you have the wardrobe on and the costume that you're wearing, it has so much to say to you about who the character is. It changes your body, how you're standing. I'll even, when I'm doing taped auditions, no one sees your feet, but I absolutely have the shoes on that character would be wearing because it puts my posture in a different place and it sets me up for that character. Maybe that's a cheat, but it definitely helps me to feel more embodied in the character. And I think specifically for an audio drama too, since we don't have the visual component of it, if we can put ourselves as actors into that place where we're feeling it in our body, even though nobody else is seeing it, that really helps come across in how your voice is going to present itself in the story.
Yeah.
Okay, now did you...
So professional.
So
completely unintentional, trust me.
in the preparation then, did you find it helpful to have the script early on? Did you have visualizations about what your character would wear or how they would look? Or was it the kind of thing where you just kind of went, I'm going to let the words take care of themselves. I'm just going to go in there and see where the director takes me?
I think it depended. It depended on which one we were talking about. Donna, I read the scripts before and after when we started doing Donna, and then I knew that I was going to do a couple of characters, so it was important to me to make sure that each voice was distinct, because I didn't want people to be confused when they heard a voice of, is that Donna or is that... So I gave Donna a Southern accent because I learned a Southern accent on Heart of Dixie when I used to work on that, and I love pulling it. My boyfriend does not love me doing a Southern accent. He's always like, oh no, not that one. And I'm like, yeah, I'm doing that one.
Really?
Yeah, I don't know. He's just like, not that one, but he's sweet. He thinks it's a really good accent. He's just like, you're not going to talk like that all day. And I'm like, no, I'm not.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I gave her a Southern accent because I just wanted I hadn't worked on anything where I only had the vocals to work with.
Oh, really?
And
This is your first voiceover
yeah,
thing.
it is actually.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I've been going to SAG and doing their. If you're in SAG Foundation has these incredible workshops where you can go in and just do like commercial copy or voiceover for animation, that kind of stuff.
Oh, really?
And they are really big on, especially with the commercial stuff, not reading the script too many times and coming in and stumbling over things a little bit how a person would when they're talking. So I've actually learned a lot from doing those workshops of just trying to make things sound a little more natural, because if I do it too many times, it can sound a little rehearsed. So, yeah.
Yes.
That's actually something that we really leaned into as we were going through and recording the episodes, is that we found, as we were starting to edit things together, that those moments where people were talking over each other or stumbling and not like pausing and let me take that back, just really added to the natural feeling of the material and wasn't so rehearsed.
Yeah.
Because no one really talks perfectly. And if
No.
you do, you don't want to talk with them for that long.
Yeah, and you
So
start,
you go,
you start getting disconnected from, I don't know, kind of what makes you human a little bit when you're too rehearsed sometimes.
It also is like, one of the things we tried to emphasize was like, it's more about the idea. So if you're stumbling over a word, you struggle because you're struggling trying to get your idea across.
Yeah.
And I think that came across great with all of you. We're doing that. It was just like a really, I mean, we would take those mistakes usually and go, we're going to use that one. Because it's just, there's something very, human about it.
Yeah.
And it's neat that you learned that there. I did not know that SAG did that kind of stuff.
Yeah, they still do. That's fun.
Huh.
Check it out.
So definitely will. So now, you all played like different characters, and some were like, reoccurring for many of the episodes. Some were, just had like one-offs. Was there a preference of like doing the characters that had bigger, longer arcs, or just kind of the one-offs where you can kind of just go, I can do something really kind of fun? Or
I liked both.
Oh, okay.
I liked both. But going back to your question about, well, your question.
Yeah.
It's funny. It's like when I was thinking about my characters, I did not think of me at all. So I don't know, so for Ms. Circle, can I say my character's name?
Yes.
So for Ms.
Spoiler.
So for Ms. Circle,
yeah.
I pictured her very different from what I look like. Like 100%.
What did you picture her like?
I pictured her being very tall. I'm 5 foot, so I mean anything above.
Well, anything
5'3"
is
very
above that
tall.
is very tall.
But I mean, I pictured her like maybe like a 5'11", slender, almost like a Cruella de Vil-esque type of character. With the gloves and the thing and the cigarette holder and just very commanding in her presence. Which is the complete opposite of me, because I'm like this short, squatty person.
Right, but you brought that, which is so great. It's like you brought that energy in there, which is like, no, you did, totally. All of you brought such great performances.
But yeah, when I'm reading characters, I wasn't even like Maple. Like I pictured her very animated, cartoonish, almost like a one of the fairy godmothers from Sleeping Beauty.
Yeah.
That's kind of how I pictured.
That's so, that's great.
Maple. So yeah, that's kind of how I did, because I didn't do the clothes thing. You did the clothes thing. I didn't do the clothes thing, but I go and it's weird that they were animated characters. I kept going.
No, well, that makes sense.
Yeah.
It also it's just like what visually can like help you get there and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Because I remember when we did that one scene, I brought a prop gun for you to have.
Yeah.
Because I know that you like to work with props and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so you do other voiceover stuff. Do you do that kind of preparation for those things too?
Sometimes, yeah. If it is a 3-word commercial, not so much. Not really necessary for me to put a cloak on and a magic hat. What commercial is this? But if it's something where it's a video game character or animation where it's going to be prolonged and there's a good amount of lines and stuff. If I'm able to, I like to have some physicality behind it because again, it just affects the performance.
So it's a little bit methody. And so, do you get any pushback for that?
No, because mostly I'm alone in my recording studio. So ain't nobody gonna tell me what to do in my recording
I just
studio.
didn't know if you're at a mirror going, "Hey, you better slow down."
Yeah, no, not much push. If I'm going into studio, which doesn't happen that often, most of the time you're doing it from your own. But when I do go in studio, I mostly just have hot drinks because they're not so big on you coming in with a steamer trunk full of like props.
Which character am I doing now? Okay, I gotta get the hat
I'll
on.
maybe have a small thing,
Makeup,
but not too much. Yeah.
I believe. Did you wear a fall at one point?
There have been. I have hair pieces. Okay, there are.
But you wore one.
Did you come in to do one of these with a fall?
I think I did.
Tabitha.
Yeah.
What's a fall?
Okay.
It's like an extra hairpiece so that you have more
Extensions.
hair. Yeah.
Like,
Okay.
Enough about the things that I do.
I love
fair.
You're giving away all my secrets, my weird secrets.
You said you like weird.
Yeah. So there you go. So now, Reasha, there's something we tried not to do,
Okay.
but we failed,
Ooh,
What
God.
was
and
it?
you were the victim of this.
What was it?
Where it's like everyone's playing a bunch of different characters, and you were playing two characters that had a dramatic moment.
Yeah.
And it was like, we were like, oh no, we realized that way too late. But it was like, it's already been established.
Yeah, so Reasha plays Mildred and Donna Quills, and so at one point in one of the scenes,
It's a dramatic.
coming up, episode 6, 5
Yeah,
or
I
6.
think so.
Six.
I think
It is 6.
Anyway, these two characters have a dramatic face-off.
It was
And
very dramatic. When I
So
saw it.
was that fun, challenging, interesting,
I
difficult,
saw
impossible?
it and I loved it. I was just like, thank you for this challenge. I actually offered to do it back and forth in both voices in one take, and you were like, no, we got to keep them separate.
So I was just gonna ask that. So
I
you did
wanted
it in two
to.
separate.
Yeah, we did. I wanted to do a run of going back and forth between the voices because I wanted to see if I could do it. I love a challenge like that. But yeah, it was fun. It was, again, very good that I had set up very different voices at that point because it would have been a little muddly and confusing. And I feel like Mildred was the hardest voice for me to get into because she was so much older and had dementia and I had to give a really gravelly aspect to my voice to make myself sound old enough. So I would like practice at home and like listen on my little phone recorder and be like, no, it sounds still too young. I would like work with it a little more. And then I had the help of recovering from a cold at one point when we were doing it. So it really helps knock that out of the ballpark.
oh, I remember
for
that.
you.
I
Yeah.
remember that day.
So I used that. And then I had to get, since we did some of the episodes apart with the same voices, I would have you guys send me a sample the night before so I could hear what I did and remember clearly so I could do it again because I'm pretty good with auditory cues. Like if I hear it, I can kind of match it.
Right.
So yeah, so that was fun, but I really enjoyed that scene. It was challenging, but it was really fun to just go back and forth and have an argument with myself.
Yeah,
awesome.
it's exactly, yeah. And it's, I mean, I've seen it in like other animated series like Simpsons or something, but they've been doing it for years. And
Yeah.
with their characters, they can have their conversations with themselves. But it's like,
Yeah.
we're throwing you in the fire here, what's like
Yeah, that's
relatively
great.
new. Because we also did a process where we would rehearse or record the rehearsal. Then we would like record like a real version after some notes, and then maybe either do a full extra one or just do wild lines.
Yeah.
Was that a?
Yeah, well, because our listeners don't necessarily know this. This podcast was produced entirely by Brett and myself. Brett wrote it, directed it, I edited it, did the audio engineering, Brett's doing the sound design, and we recorded it all here in our home, in our guest bedroom. And we had 9 episodes, 25 actors, 100 characters, and oftentimes we only had like a 2-hour window
And
to
the
record
episodes are like an hour long, so.
Yeah.
4 to 8 scenes. So I think that leads into the question like about the process of recording this particular project.
Yes, that's true. Yeah, because
How did
normally
you
in a
find
play
that?
you'd get weeks and stuff like that. But was this kind of a refreshing take on that to kind of go in and get thrust into the fire, or was it a little more daunting? Or
I love a cold read, so or just something that's quick that I have to like turn around fast. I love that, so I was
Okay.
right at home in it.
oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, there was a lot of times that you guys only had me in for like 5 minutes, and I would say like 1 or 2 lines, and I was like, anything else?
Could I make some bread in the kitchen?
Sure. I just wanna, because it was so much fun just to do like just one-offs and be like, okay, I'm out. And then with like Ms. Circle having a little bit more, Ms. Circle
Ms.
having a little
Circle.
bit more
You're
to
dissing
do.
yourself. Yeah.
So yeah, I think I got the best of both worlds.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah.
And then for you, because I know I like to have the script
Yeah.
like months in advance.
I don't mean
like to-
necessarily months in advance, but I definitely read everything beforehand just so I could get a sense of where I was in the story and be able to come with annoying questions for you to answer so that I could make sure that I really understood where we were going with it.
They were never annoying.
Well,
They're
Like
always
what kind of
insightful.
annoying? What kind of annoying?
I needed to know more. I hate when people are like, "What's my motivation?" It wasn't quite like that, but it was
she
along
for
the lines of So would you say she's a fall or an autumn?
Yeah, I've got
she
some
would
of those.
No, it wasn't like that. It really was just more of what's her level here, like on the range. What is the emotional capacity that she has right here?
Yeah,
and is she tiptoeing into it, or is she coming on hard? Like, I just needed to know where she was at on the scale so that I made sure that I had a place to go and knew where you had envisioned it, because a lot of it we didn't get the episodes until as they were going, but you have the whole idea, you have the whole thing in your head, and so you're the person to go to with this, and I want to make sure to set it up for future ones. What I'm doing here will make sense with the future ones.
Right.
And there were some days that we were recording one scene from episode 6 and a scene from episode 7 and a scene from episode 8, and
there's some time jumping, so it's like where in the relationship is this?
Yeah.
So I thought they were all totally valid, and that's why during this whole thing too of like trying to figure out what's everyone's process.
Yeah.
So everyone has a different way of doing it, and something that I learned from all of you too, of like as an actor myself, I like to have it like way ahead of time and plan things out, and then like it's best when you plan a couple things and then let just things happen.
Yeah.
Because it's like you never know what the actor is going to bring,
Yeah.
and then you're reacting off of them.
Yeah, you never knew what somebody else in the room was going to do, so you had to,
And especially since some of you didn't even know each other. I didn't know you at all.
Yeah.
And so it's just like, it's great to like go, okay, how do we do this? And so like, you get to, oh, that's how they sound?
You were very gracious to let me improv too, here and there. Like at the end of scenes, you would let
Oh,
me
no,
add
yeah.
little like.
When you're
that
calling
was
after,
very kind of you.
when you're calling after Lucky, that was my main thing about like, if anyone wanted to change the lines, I was not precious about it unless it was a specific line.
Yeah.
Because
did you hear that, folks? A writer who isn't precious about the dialogue. It's a rare
I'm a unicorn.
moment.
And so it's like, but I found that it's like, it's if it's coming from you, and like, we had some line changes and stuff like that, and I always like respect of like, if you got something that's going to be more personal to you, or something you don't want to say that's going to be better for your character or for your as an actress, do that.
Oh, yeah. Were there any lines that you recall just dreading, or
Or any
scenes
moments.
that you were struggling with, or...
No.
Yeah, you were laughing. You got one?
I'm not
Don't
gonna
you?
know. I'm not even gonna bring it up. I feel like it's gonna be a spoiler.
That's what I felt like.
Oh,
Mine,
yeah,
I'm like,
I'm
that's
not
what I
gonna
know
know.
what I'm talking about
I know
too.
what the scene you're
we
talking
can
about.
talk about that after that scene. Like after that episode.
Yeah,
What
maybe we'll
episode is
do a
that?
revisit once all the episodes have come out.
I will just say,
But yeah, there were a few.
there were some intimacy moments that I was uncomfortable talking about and directing, and I tried to figure out ways of doing it so it wasn't so like, this is what we're doing, we're having this intimate moment with someone else. So I tried to make it about what's the motivation behind it. Like, this is about connection, or this is about disconnection, or this is about frustration. So make it more about that, and put a chore to it.
Well, I think it also takes a little bit of the sting out of it when characters are kissing and you're standing opposite someone on the other side of the room doing this.
A very intimate hand, yes.
Really effective kissing noise.
Yes,
maybe not with your hands.
I have the worst kissing noise on there. There was one.
Was that
kiss.
awkward for you to record?
It was so awkward. Well, I did it. I was like on, and it was really loud and bad. But the kiss was supposed to be bad in the script.
But were you by yourself, or were there other people?
Oh no, it was other people. It was an episode 3.
Was it with Brittany?
No. That was awkward because we know each other.
Yeah.
And so it's a very awkward thing when you have those moments where you're like, if it's a stranger, it's almost like this is all weird anyway. But we know each other, so I'm like, we're gonna have to have this moment. And I was night sweats.
Sure. And now it's your ringtone. Every time your phone goes off, it's your
I don't know why I
kissing
told
sound.
you. I don't know why I told you that.
This is weird.
So we talked about like before we recorded, during we recorded, like the process and stuff like that. I'm just curious about afterwards. Like, what was your experience after you recorded? Was it like, that was fun, or I messed that up. Oh, I wish I could redo that, or out of sight, out of mind, or what was your experience with that? Your drive home.
I think I always just wanted to stay longer because it was just so nice. With voiceover, you're, again, in your booth by yourself most of the time. And this is a very insular experience. But here it was so fun because it was almost improv, where feels like a live show, and you've got other people to play off of, and it affects the way that you do the scene, and then it's hanging out with friends and getting to talk and catch up on stuff, and then Sarah saying like, all right, enough, you've got to come in and record now. She definitely
It was too
kept us
professional.
she kept us on track because we could have just talked.
There had to be one person.
And it was definitely you. You did. I'm glad you did, because I would have talked forever and ever and just been like, no guys, let's just have a sleepover. Let's just go ahead and call it a day, and we're just gonna hang out all night. So
Sarah's the
it was
whip
just fun.
cracker.
Yeah.
You kept us on schedule though. You got us in and got us out, and we got everything we needed.
Scheduling was a beast.
I think I definitely there. I don't think I spoke up. I mean, when you guys say nope, that sounds great. I have a tendency to just go, all right, cool, and then I just go, well, I mean, if you got what you wanted, then great. And then on the way home, I kind of go, I could have done that probably, and then I listen to it and I go, oh, I probably could have done that a little bit.
There were 2 times that I recall that you wanted to go back and you kind of spoke up for yourself. I think it was once when you were voicing Judith Love, I think, and then there was one Ms. Circle scene that you wanted to...
one of the last Ms. Circle ones that I did. I was like, nah, I think I could do that a little bit.
Right. Well, I think everyone got a little more comfortable as it went on, so you're able to go, let's do that one more time.
Yeah.
So which was that's great. But yeah, that sucks when you're like on the way home going.
But I do that in face acting. Face acting.
That's a term now. That's a term. Face acting.
So I would go, oh, you thought that was good? Okay, cool. And then later on, I watch it and I go, oh, nope, should have watched that. I should have watched it. And then gone back and asked to do like another one. Like,
I have I don't act very often, and it's usually only because Brett makes me, but there was one episode of another show that he did, and I did not speak up for myself at all, and left that day feeling just completely dejected and horrible. And I was
what happened? What happened? Afterwards?
It was just I gave myself over to the director, which is great. Any actor should do that. But there were things that I really wanted to bring to the character, and I just kind of felt like I gave myself over too freely.
Yeah.
It turned out great.
I think so.
Okay.
But
that was
you
my
know,
next
it was
question, was like
with some time and space, and then you watch it again and you're like, oh yeah, that wasn't so bad.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've definitely had that experience where I just went home and I didn't.
What did I do?
I didn't do any
regrets.
of the things that I wanted to do.
Yeah.
And
But then again, I think also is that the kind of thing where aren't we very self-critical when we're listening to ourselves or watching ourselves and go, I could have done better. It's like, that was great. It's wonderful. And you go, I guess.
That's actually something that's been really interesting is when we are going over and editing scenes and scoring scenes that one or both of us are in, or we have to really focus on putting that self-critical voice out of our head and focus on what the scene is and should be, and did we achieve that?
Yeah.
That brings up another question I'd like to ask both of you. I have a tendency to self-edit, and I'll do that with whether it be face acting or voice acting. I self-edit a lot where I'm sure you guys know, in the middle of takes I'd be like, nope, we need to do that again. Like, I'll stop the scene and say, let's do it again, which is a real like dick move for me to say that when I'm not the director. But it's when I know that I'm like, what I'm phoning this in. This is not right. Like, we need to do this again, and I know that I can do what it is that you need here. So as a director, as a producer, and being over that, is that helpful for you, or do you wish that actors would just clamp it down and do what they're told and be on schedule? Like, this will be held against you in a court of law, so.
Then do whatever you want to do.
Yeah.
Then you're always right.
That's the words I've been waiting to hear my whole life.
I find whatever helps the actor. If they want to, if they need to stop it, and sometimes things are off the rails, and you just got to go, we need to reset. But otherwise, my thing is, I always go, just figure out, and just see if you can get through it. So that's
I didn't care as long as they went back to the start of the line so that I had a clean edit.
Choice. I don't know what to do. Like, very much
As an editor,
this,
I had to learn how to do that for this project, and so I don't have any tricks. Or so I was like, just start the line again. No, not in the middle. Go the beginning. Otherwise, I
have you guys ever like somebody comes in and they start doing their voice acting, not face acting, and then you're like, that's not what I thought. That's not. Or you go, yeah, you know what? Let's try something different.
That's a great question, and sometimes that would happen, and I'd go, shut up, Brett. Shut up.
Oh, you're serious?
And listen. And then I'd say, they're right.
Interesting.
Because they brought in something I just wasn't expecting.
I think that just shows the humility that you have. And again, going back to, it's okay if the actors change the words, and how that's very rare for a writer. I think that you particularly, Brett, are just very humble in the way that you create art, that even though you have such a clear vision of it, I mean, how else could you do something as expansive as this with this many characters and so imaginative? Like, clearly you've got a really, really good imagination, but you still aren't so married to it that you say that it has to be within the confines of that, and that just shows a humility and a curiosity and a desire to see what happens, and enthusiasm.
Yeah,
That's very sweet. It was collaborative.
Yeah.
And it's like, and for me, it's the same thing when you're writing. It's like the character starts speaking to you.
You got a lot of voices in your head.
Yeah.
Oh, that's too many voices and music in my head.
Full circle to therapy. Here we
And
go.
so,
again.
not therapy. I actually skipped my therapy session. This is my therapy session. So I may break down crying.
This is good. This is good. I think you're making great progress. Yeah.
But so well, that's very kind of you to say, and thank you for that. But I found it like usually someone would come in with something, and then we do a little tweaks with it and stuff like that. I know we worked on with Ms. Circle some things about like we found a nice like level about like that's it. And so if we're both trying to work, because we're all trying to work towards telling a story and telling this story together. And so if it's like you bring in something, I'll bring in something, and then sometimes people just come in and go, okay. Like you kind of came in with Mildred, and I was like going, okay, that's it.
Thank you. I was nervous about that one because I was like, I don't know if I can get my voice old enough for that. Ginger was another one that I think you emailed me beforehand, and you're like, okay, here's what I'm thinking for Ginger. She's like Euro trash, but she's like punk rock, but she's like, and there were like 3 other things, and I was like looking up half of them going, what are they? And then I came in with this wild off the kilter like faux British accent. And you were like, yeah. So you were very helpful in guiding on what you were thinking in your head, and very generous when it came time to perform of like working with what we had brought and trying to meld it into what you were thinking too, and then seeing what happened. You were very excited to see what could just spring up, which was lovely.
Well, that was great. That's what everyone brought in to like 3 of you, especially. It was like you brought in some stuff. When someone comes in, they got nothing. I don't know what to do with this. Then it's you kind of go, ouch. Well, there's a director that always said like, okay, I have a lot of notes after like we do a run through, and you go, oh, I never be all depressed. You go, no, that's a good thing.
Oh, good.
That means you brought in things and now I have notes. If I had no notes, it's like, well, we're stuck. We're at a stalemate.
There's nowhere to go.
There's nothing here.
I have a question for you.
Yes.
What was the seed of the idea for this?
Oh.
What sparked, I'm going to sit down and write this?
It was from a nightmare. I had a nightmare where there was a house, a 2-story house in San Diego that would fill up every night with salt water. And so anytime people went in, they would get drowned. They'd die.
Get drowned?
They get drowned. See, people speak.
Such a good writer.
My grammar is perfect. So it's like they get drowned. They get drowned with it. And so what happened is then like thrill seekers were going like, let's explore. And so people go into with scuba gear and try to like survive the night. But every time people kept dying. And it was one of those nightmares. I don't know if you have these, but I have recurring nightmares where like I wake up and go, that was horrible. But it's 3 a.m. I should go back to sleep. I go back to sleep and I go back to that same nightmare.
I do that too.
So it was like I kept going back to it. So it kept sticking with me. I'm like, why is everyone dying? What's the story behind it? And I wanted to explore it. So for me with writing, it's like you can either go with something that's very like a mystery, like I got to solve this, and that's why you go into the story, or something you hate.
Yeah.
I hate musicals, or I used to.
Yeah.
So I wrote a musical to figure out why I hate it.
Yeah.
Now I respect musicals.
So are we doing 1968 Blackflower Drive?
The musical.
We have the talent.
I want you
Maybe we
guys
can
to
do
know
a
that I
special
have a
episode.
very good voice. So let's just make this happen.
You do have a very
Let's
good
just
voice.
make.
There's no one who's like shy or
Humble. Speaking of humble, I have a question for you, Sarah. So there were a couple of moments during recording where you were a little bit overcome with emotion, and I would think that as the sound person, you're keeping us all in line and making sure that we're making things happen, and you also you're on the cans and making sure that all the recordings are right and editing, doing your thing there. So how immersive was it for you to be live in the room with us as we were doing that? How immersed in the story were you that it made you emotional? Or were there other things going on those days? I don't know. Maybe it was the stress of the moment.
They're ruining the show.
I need a divorce lawyer.
I mean, it depends on the day. We recorded this over 18 months, so I certainly came into each recording day in a very different mood. But there's a lot of this story that's actually pulled from our
Just personal
lives together, and so sometimes it was those moments that Brett had kind of taken our story and tweaked it into some other characters that moved me. And then sometimes it was just the performances that I was getting to witness, that everyone else will get to hear. But I was in the room getting to witness it outside of needing to feel it, and it got me.
Yeah, that's so interesting because you would think that it being just the vocal medium and being involved with trying to make sure that would happen, that it wouldn't have quite the same effect as it would be a live face acting performance.
Hashtag face
Yeah,
acting.
this is gonna take off, guys.
Oh my god!
But it definitely still had an effect, even live in the room with that situation. That's interesting.
Yes, I'm also a really big sook.
Same
I'm
commercial.
a
and just
crier.
like,
You're like, he went to college at 15.
why didn't I pay for
It's
no
too much.
commercials?
Yeah.
The old Hallmark greeting card commercials,
Yes.
the old Folgers Crystals commercials. Stop it.
It's too much.
Budweiser Super Bowl.
much.
Oh,
Yeah.
the Clydesdales.
Yeah.
It's too personal.
Oh, the animals. Yeah, that'll get me every time. All right. So now, how can people follow you? What are you working on right now? What's your thing?
I had a good year. I had a really good year.
Let's hear about this good year.
I booked a part on a show called Paradise that
Ooh.
Dan Fogelman is creating with Sterling K. Brown. And
That's awesome.
That was probably some of the most fun I've ever had on set was that show. I love that show. It's going to be great. It
And that's
comes out in
face acting,
February.
right?
That is
that
face
face
acting.
acting?
Got it? Okay.
Excellent.
Then I did a little face acting on Dr. Odyssey, the pilot, but you couldn't really see my face because I was in so much PPE. So
I'm so sorry. You were in so much
PPE.
Oh,
personal protective.
God, okay. I heard PP and I'm like, I don't know what the
No,
show
not
is.
that.
That's
Not
why I got
that.
confused.
No.
Different show, different channel.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry. I was like, wait, hold on. What's the show? What is that?
It's a very fun show. And then I got myself in Freakier Friday in July.
You got yourself into it.
Congratulations.
That's awesome.
So that is next August that premieres.
That's amazing.
And I'm very excited. And I can't say anything about that part because I'm NDA'd within an inch of my life.
I did not have that year. No, that's so great. This and I'm doing a script reading next week for independent film. We shall see what happens. Maybe.
Did you have a film?
And then we
recently
just
too?
had a film in a film festival. It's called Beyond Methuselah.
Right.
It's interesting. It did the whole circuit, the whole festival circuit in 2020, and we couldn't go to any of the places.
Right.
So, and it did really well, and that will be out on Amazon.
What genre is it?
Horror?
You know what? Oh, that's so embarrassing. I don't know what genre it would be.
Drama?
I mean, it's very dramatic.
Oh.
It's very dramatic. There's a lot that happens. It's science, it's technology, it's religion, it's
Well, sci-fi.
it's all the things. It's all the
Awesome.
things. Yeah. So that'll be out on Amazon next year, 2025.
No,
Check it out.
Yeah.
Beyond Methuselah.
And then Brittany?
Yeah, Brittany.
Yes.
Oh, okay. Mostly just great gains at the gym. I've been lifting. I'm just kidding. And, yeah, just doing the improv, the comedy, writing, singing, woodworking. It's basically a schizophrenic level of interest, and I'm never going to settle down on
I like
one
that you
thing,
slid
so.
woodworking in there.
It's absolutely, yeah.
What are you building
That's fun.
woodworking?
So I just finished a one-woman bathroom remodel in our house and did the entire thing myself, like even moving in a tub and busting up the cast iron one.
It's
it
like
was
a one-woman show
complete
/ one
gut job.
woman.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You busted up a cast iron tub?
I did, yeah, with a
She's strong.
sledgehammer. I got really, again, my gains were incredible. Wow. It was insane. And now the bathroom is just the most beautiful bathroom I've ever seen. And I'm so happy with it. And I can't believe that like these very tired hands did all of that. And I'm super proud of it. So,
Nice.
Well done. Well, it's one of the reasons why I actually thought of you for Jackie, too. Because
she's kind of a badass.
she's a badass, but she's doing all the things. She's the mayor of the town. She's the mother of the town. She's doing everything. Yeah, well, that's a good note to end on. And so this is our first episode of Behind Blackflower. Thank you very much for joining us. Thank you very much for joining us. And we have a few more planned to do in the future, exploring the idea of 1968 Blackflower Drive.
So if you have any questions, please feel free to email us at pryzonsbreak@gmail.com. Now, the spelling of that is super strange. So you can go to any of our social media accounts and the email will be on there. We are on Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok at 1968.bfd and on YouTube at 1968BFD without the dot. Be sure to follow us on all of those social media accounts: Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube. Like, subscribe, comment, ring the bell thing, follow, all of it. Just
Smash
do
that
all
button.
of it. Anyway, 1968 Blackflower Drive can be found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Acast, and on our website. And on our website, you can also learn some more information about our performers here. So we hope you keep listening.